Well, good morning, and welcome to Morning Gospel Fuel with Mr. G. It is Wednesday, December 23rd, Christmas Eve, and it's the feast day of Saint Thorlak. And he was a 12th century bishop, and he was ordained a deacon by the time he was 15 and a priest by the time he was 18. Um, and he's the patron saint of Iceland. Today's Gospel, as we continue through Luke, is from Luke chapter 1, verses 457 through 66. Let's begin in the name of the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. When the time arrived for Elizabeth to have her child, she gave birth to a son. Her neighbors and relatives heard that the Lord had shown his great mercy toward her, and they rejoiced with her. When they came on the 8th day to circumcise the child, they were going to call him Zechariah after his father. But his mother said in reply, "No, he will be called John." But they answered her, "There is no one among your relatives who has this name." So they made signs, asking his father what he wished him to be called. He asked for a tablet and wrote, "John is his name," and all were amazed. Immediately his mouth was opened, his tongue freed, and he spoke blessing. God. Then fear came upon all their neighbors, and all these matters were discussed throughout the hill country of Judea. All who heard these things took them to heart, saying, "What then will this child be? For surely the hand of the Lord was with him." So we've got the birth of John today, meaning Mary is almost completed with her visit, if you paid attention to yesterday's video. But we've got the birth of John, in which they're discussing, the miracle, of course, that is just taken place, because Elizabeth was considered too old and barren to have children. So she ends up having a healthy baby, John. Talks about circumcision, which is a parallel, of course, to the Old Testament. But notice the attention given to Zechariah, because in Palestinian Judaism, as it says here, during this time, the male child is always named after his grandfather or his father, and so and that's according to tradition, and they break that by naming him John instead of Zechariah. And just notice how important and just the emphasis of surrendering to God and God's will is within this story, the context of this story. Because if you go back to earlier this week or last week in Luke's gospel, Zechariah has been mute because he doubted. The angel Gabriel came and told Elizabeth and Zechariah that they were going to have a child, and it was a miracle that was even happening. But Zechariah doubted, and so God silenced him. So he was mute this entire time throughout this pregnancy. And then the moment that because he was mute, so he took the tablet and he wrote down John as his name, meaning like Zechariah himself had to surrender the tradition and just listen to God's will for even the name of what John was going to be called, which we all know. So that is then the moment that he said John is his name on the tablet through writing. It said, immediately his mouth was opened, his tongue freed, and he spoke, blessing God. So that is the challenge for us. So Zechariah doubted, so God muted him. Why did he mute him? Because God talks to us in silence. And I think we all live in a world where it's extremely noisy. You know that, I know that. Even within our thoughts, they're a little noisy sometimes. So God muted Zechariah, just like he wants us to mute ourselves and go find God. So take that time in silence to grow closer to him. And then once we get fulfilled through God in our prayer, then we will get fulfilled, and hopefully we'll be able to speak blessings of God as well. So that is our goal, to be like Zechariah and silence ourselves, even though he was done by force, but silence ourselves so that we can truly listen and feel God's presence in our lives today and every day. Have a good day. God bless. Keep it real. In the Father, Son, Holy Spirit. Amen.